We're about to make a really insane raft, but first we need some garbage. The goal is to add as many foundation pieces to the raft as we possibly can. And the first thing we need for that is a building hammer, 4 planks, 2 ropes. Much of which we can get from this convenient barrel floating in the ocean. Well, not the rope, because we need to make that. Luckily we're so incredibly skilled that we can make a rope out of leaves floating in the ocean. And look at that, our very first tool, it's a hammer. Then I just need to spend a few quick minutes either reeling in the wood or picking it up out of the ocean with my hands. We're gonna need a lot of plastic and wood, because every time we add a single piece of foundation, the raft is gonna pick up speed by 1. So while we might not be breaking any records yet, it's gonna get wild fast. And there's another floor piece and another floor piece. The difference is actually already noticeable because I need to be really quick to grab this stuff out of the ocean, or otherwise it sails by and is never seen again. I'm also going to need a paddle for now because I'm too lazy to make a steering wheel just so we can steer around things like this island in front of me. We didn't make the paddle in time, so it crashed into this island. Luckily for us, we can take this rare opportunity to take some rare stuff out of the island while not getting eaten by the shark. It turns out the best thing about this island is a pineapple, which actually makes it a pretty good island. Mission accomplished, it's time to go away from the island. I'm going to share my raft with the shark because it just wouldn't be the same without him eating my raft, so he's actively going to be working against us. But also probably not for very long because we're going to be able to outrun him very soon. I realized it would be fun to be able to actually see how fast we're going, so we're currently going 2.5 meters a second. And that's with a raft this size. If I had another one of these, we're going to gain even more speed. That puts us up to almost 3 meters a second. So if my math is correct, every time we add a piece of foundation, we're gaining half a meter per second. And one of the hilarious unintended consequences of this is I don't have the power to push myself the other direction. I can, however, pull myself very slightly sideways, so I might be able to sneak around the edge. But to make sure that doesn't happen again for a while, I am going to add a steering wheel. This also has the added helpful benefit of being able to steer into the garbage patches. Sort of. The raft is getting a little bit quick, so steering is a little bit clunky. But that's to be expected when we start breaking things. One thing that's going to make this a lot easier are going to be the collection nets, so I need to be sure to make rope and gather nails for that. So while I was at that island, I probably should have picked up the pieces of scrap that were lying around. This is already getting so fast, it's a little bit hard to control. But we're up to 4.4 meters a second. And that seems pretty adequate considering the raft is this big. This is already faster than like you can go in the regular game under any circumstance. I did get some scrap out of a barrel so I can make my first nail. I actually thought this extra speed in the beginning would be helpful, but so far it's just working against me. Like we're going past more garbage, but I'm missing so much more of it. And if I fall off the raft, it's not coming back for me. We've got an island ahead, so we're going to try and steer around it, but I'm not really sure how well we're going to steer. I'm going to do a cool drive-by because I want that crate over there. So we're going to do a weird drift and go pretty much probably directly into the island at this rate. See, that's why I don't have a lot of faith in this steering. We mostly just turn the raft, but we don't actually steer. There's some scrap there, but I'm going this way now in a real hurry. I don't think I've ever accomplished this before. The raft is actually going backwards somehow. But with that leaf, I can make another rope, which means I can make my first collection net. But now I'm not really sure which side of the raft to put it on. I guess it doesn't really matter that much, but since we're going this way now, we're going to do that. And then so long as we're driving in this direction, I can use this steering wheel. Eventually we'll make another steering wheel and probably put it on the other side. But for now, we're just going to steer into our stuff into our collection net. Now we don't have to use that stupid hook anymore, and it's much, much easier. So I think we've earned ourselves another foundation piece. We'll start with that and hopefully steer into some more crap. Then we can eventually make more collection nets, but they are fairly expensive, so it's going to take a sec to get there. Look at the shark back there. He's struggling to keep up. He'll never see us again. The raft is still really uncontrollable, so I'm going to do my best to grab the extra things that I need with my hook, and I'm probably going to miss everything. Why are we turning around? Why? Oh, okay, we're going this way now. So it looks like as I steer, like I just kind of orient the raft right and left. I still don't really steer that well, but that means I can turn the raft around and point myself backwards if I want to. But basically, we're going where the red arrow is pointing us. We don't really have a lot of choice. I think we can handle a little more speed at this point. I'm finding lots of wood and plenty of plastic. Leaves are a little bit harder to find. Scrap is going to be the hardest thing to get a hold of with this fast raft. So I'm going to sacrifice some materials to make a throwable anchor. That can only be used once, but if I hit an island that's going to have lots of scrap around it, I can set that down and go mine the island for scrap that's scattered all around the floor of the ocean. I'm going to try and get both of these, so I'm going to hope that steers into that. I guess I can just grab these though, because we ended up getting the leaves anyway. I was getting impatient, so I turned up the number of stuff that spawns in the ocean. So far it's a little hard to tell because they're moving so fast. Very exciting, we've gotten enough leaves to make another rope, which means we can make another collector. And that's actually going to make a very big difference to our progress. I'm going to put it right there because it's actually kind of... Whoa, that's not great. Okay, well, goodbye, Raft. With a little magic, we're back on the raft like nothing ever happened. At least this part's easy now. We just gotta cruise around, not driving into islands, and every once in a while we collect crap out of our things. Well, we found another island, and since we're here we might as well take advantage to get some of that hard-earned scrap. And there's lots of scrap around the island, so hopefully we'll get all we need. There's rocks hovering a absolute jackpot of scrap. I might go for that anyway. Probably normally supposed to have flippers to do this. Okay, I'm using almost half my oxygen just to get here, but now I'm really curious as to what that is. Okay, that is good stuff. So I can get down to the bottom, pick up a crate, and get back to the top with about 10% of my air left. I think that's enough to grab a metal ingot. Turns out he was still out there somewhere. He managed to catch us. But you know what? You can have that one. You earned it. You swam 1,000 miles to catch us. And we've got quite a debris field coming up to us. So if I could just get the raft pointed in the right direction, then we get started on building some more things because I've got a lot of scrap. That might actually be one of the very rare islands. But no time for that, I've got things to build. Okay, well so far I was able to build one more collection net, but that's big. The more of these we get up front, the more of this stuff we're going to run into as wow, look at it all now. This in theory will make things easier. I just got to actually grab this stuff. This is why we need more collection nets up front. But we're doing a pretty good job collecting now. Already we can make another one, so those are coming by faster and faster. We're going to stick this one over here, where they're going to continue to collect lots of stuff. I really need to go around these islands. It is super annoying when I get stuck on them. But also, oh no, we're throwing stuff out now. I've got to unload some of our useless stuff. Basically, if it's not used in the pursuit of garbage, we don't want it. My things are actually filling up really quickly now, but in order to support them, we need more foundation, which is going to add more speed. I'm going to add a little more there just to keep everything secure so the shark doesn't get too much. Not that I think he's going to catch us anymore. We're now going about 10 meters a second, which is really fast. And wow, stuff is actually slipping through that gap. It's actually getting really hard and stressful to keep up, just because we're gathering so many items and things are starting to overfill, and then I've got to try and dodge the islands however I can. Sometimes I've got to go like this just to bump us a little bit out of the way, and then reorient the raft back in the right direction, and then repeat that whole process again. Only to have a giant island spawn right in our way, but you know what? That's fine for now. Okay, so we got enough stuff for another 2 collection nets, so we're going to smash into this island, but we're going to lay those down. And that'll give me room to breathe for a second and catch up with my brain. Alright, I'm feeling pretty good. We're going 12 meters a second, so we're able to collect lots of garbage, though some of it's still getting away. We're getting a little bit more foundation. We're going to do it too thick on either side. That way, if the very hungry moron does show up again, he doesn't entirely destroy an entire arm of the raft. I can't even walk to the other side by the time we're done like picking up more stuff. And we're getting things like onions, but it's always fun to drop something in the water and see how fast it gets whisked away. And palm leaves aren't in trouble to get anymore. Like, we need more palm leaves, we just kind of go like this. I don't know why I keep throwing that. And then we're full of palm leaves again to make more rope. And then we can make ever more collectors. We have so many, we're going to throw them on the ground. Amazingly, even as fast as we're going and collecting things, I still can't really make rope fast enough. It takes so many ropes to build one of these nets that I'm going to need to increase the speed and production a little bit more. Then again, we're starting to go pretty quick and the net is getting kind of wide. I think I might need to use the storage mod, so I just put all this into a storage and can craft from there, because this is getting a little bit overwhelming. Maybe for now I'll just leave everything in the storage net and see if I can just continue on crafting this way. So far that actually seems like a kind of reasonable idea. And we're going to add a few more of those. Our speed is now up to 19 meters per second, which is pretty fast. I'm going to need a little bit more floor space here for my raft anyway, because I'm going to want to build, you know, a bit of a fancier raft than this. It's not going to be the prettiest raft I've ever built, but I've also never built a pretty raft before. Now we're up to 25 meters per second, which is obviously a pretty big increase in speed. And I think we're about to ram that little boat thing, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And are we going to hit it? Yep, and now we're spinning wildly out of control. I always did like having an elevated platform to drive off of though, that way you can see a little bit of what's around us. And now we have no steering wheel at all to guide us, and I'm going to have to do something about the walkway up here because that's really dangerous in itself. Now we have a better view of what's coming up and we can keep an eye on all our collectors. But this gives us a much better perspective of how much of the garbage we're picking up and how much we're missing entirely. We're doing pretty well. This spot definitely can't stay there like that. I would definitely miss that and fall off the edge, especially as the game starts to lag a little more. Okay, let's see what we got. Is our inventory going to fill up? It sure is. It's just throwing out huge piles of boxes at this point. I don't even know what that stuff is. Okay, we're getting lots of the stuff we need for nails though too. So there's another 7 nails out of that rope. We can make another 20 ropes, which is going to turn into a lot more collectors. Now we're making progress on those. It does get a little bit tricky because the more collection nets we're going to add, the more foundation we need to add, which means more speed, and we're already going kind of uncontrollably fast. We're still doing fine though. As long as we got our resources, there's nothing at all to worry about. Picking them up is going to get annoying though. So this is what 40 meters a second looks like. And the raft really isn't that big. Like, we can make this so stupidly big that it's it's gonna get wild. And I think with the way this works, we should be spawning basically straight into the debris field as long as we're going in the straight line, which we more or less are. So we still need to go a little wider. They should have just made the base game like this. This is way easier than trying to build engines and paddle yourself around the ocean. This is much quicker. I'm pretty sure I didn't even pick up anything yet, and somehow we have another 40 palm leaves. I'm not going to complain, I'm just not really sure how that happened. I was hoping the excess would fall back into the things. What's happening? Oh, we found an island. Pretty sure, yep, I heard the bird. So as long as we're at this island, the bird's going to be dropping rocks on my head, so that's a lot of fun. But when life puts an island in your way, just remove the island. No, we're going backwards at 50 meters per second. So let's turn this around, probably to be face to face with another island by that point. Yeah, wouldn't you know it? We might be able to sneak past this one. Just barely. Nope, we're gonna hit it real hard. But that didn't actually stop us. We just ricocheted off it, and now we're going this way somehow. We've changed the direction of travel. This is already breaking the game so bad, and it's gonna get so much worse. Generally, by the time I can orient myself back in the right direction, we hit another island, and then we're just left going this way for a while. Well, I think the only reasonable thing to do now is add a little bit of extra foundation because we got the resources for it. So we did all that. That's gonna put us up to 49.5. Yeah, we're over 50 meters per second now, and it feels pretty quick. It feels really quick. I'm going to show you how fast this is going to happen. If I were to fall in the water, the raft is... By the time I get to the surface, I don't even know where it went. Since I'm having trouble orienting my raft in the right direction, I'm going to make what we're going to call an omnidirectional raft, which naturally is going to add a little bit of speed as I am foundations, but it's going to be worth it. And this way, whoops, I almost walked off the edge. But this way, it won't matter what direction we're going, we'll always be picking up garbage. And we're gonna need that because I need a lot more plastic apparently. It's a high stakes game of building because if I touch that water, my raft is going. We're now at 72 meters a second, which is really, really fast. And I'm also gonna need the resources to put collector nets all the way around what I currently have. That way we never miss a piece of garbage. So with just the resources I had sort of halfway on board, we made a lot, 5 collection nets. I thought that would be more. Well, whatever. I've got lots of time on my hands. We can't stop now. We're definitely shortest on rope, which means we need lots of palm leaves. We need lots of palm leaves because they turn into rope. And we hit an island, that's why it starts turning awkwardly, but we're going to make a little bit of room in our stash. This stuff will never ever be seen again. And that way when I pick up this stuff, I should get hopefully lots of palm leaves. I never realized how expensive these are to make. I can really take an appreciation for it now. Also, unsurprisingly, the ocean seems to have largely stopped spawning garbage suddenly, probably due to our speed. We are up to 93 meters a second. Adding the collector nets might actually count as foundation, so those are also increasing our speed. There's a bit of garbage. This is a beautiful raft. Ooh, I'm going to try and turn the garbage way up. Well, we've managed to bone the game up pretty good because garbage isn't spawning at all anymore. My first theory was that it was actually spawning, but by the time it rendered in, it was basically back there. But that doesn't seem to be the case either. Luckily, we don't necessarily need garbage anymore because I can just spawn whatever I want into existence in reality anyway. So I can just go ahead and keep adding planks onto the raft, and each one of these is making us faster, and I can tell the game loves it already. We are coming up at the 100 meter per second mark, and we found an island, but don't worry, we get going fast enough and islands don't matter anymore either. Maybe there was actually garbage and it was just getting collected in these and we're going too fast that it didn't really notice anymore because there's definitely still stuff in all of these. We're just light speed garbage collectors at this point. We can't even see it happening. Even after all that garbage, we still run out of plastic. This thing's more expensive than I thought. But we just move the island out of our way and keep on going. We are going 120 meters a second at this point. Still not fast enough to make the islands disappear entirely, but we're still going pretty quick. We are collecting garbage in the water, we just can't see it because we're going too quick. But since we have a moment against an island to think, I'm going to go ahead and build some more planks. We need a little more speed. I went ahead and removed that island. We're up to about 140 meters a second so far. If we throw something in the ocean, we can't even see it. It just basically evaporates. 140 meters really isn't that fast though. Like, it's obviously faster than any raft can conceivably go, but we could do better. I've given myself somehow 20,000 plastic. That's disorienting. This is horrifying. But I gave myself enough planks. We should be able to go around the outside of the perimeter. I also have a llama now. It's just a very careful game of do not fall off the raft. So after making another perimeter and bouncing off an island, we just gotta wait to stabilize a little bit. 160 meters a second, 170 meters a second, pretty fast. Figured if I've got a raft that goes in all directions, I might as well have a steering wheel in all directions. That way we can somewhat control this thing. Like, now we're going mostly this way, but we're going to hit an island and come to a dead stop. But once we remove that, we're back to being able to steer unfunctionally, and we're going to bounce off that anyway, and that's the beauty of it. I don't need to turn the raft, I just go to this steering wheel. Oh, never mind. That was unexpected. The llama might have found a new home. The speed seems to be bouncing around right now. I think we're probably hitting islands and things along the way. They're sort of just blinking past at this point, depending on how they render in. Like, there goes that big one. But I think we're still going to have to turn the speed up a little bit because it's fast, but like, I can still see islands. So I doubled that speed again, so we're now getting 4 times the bonus for each and every plank on the ground, and yeah, that seems to have done the trick. We're moving quicker again. Till we hit an island, but 200 meters a second. Luckily, the raft is actually fairly square, so we tend to bounce off of islands and just keep going. I heard once that sailors used to throw a rope in the water to gauge their speed. That's how they determine knots, so we're going to do the llama test. We just throw him in the water. The point I was trying to make is that we could throw a llama into the water to determine our speed. So once the raft disappears, the llamas float now. Alright, well, fair played. I don't know how long I can wait for this acceleration, so I'm just going to turn the speed up like big. So we're now getting a paltry 15 speed bonus for each and every foundation. We started at 1, so we have a 15 times increase. Because it's hard to accelerate up to speed with islands in existence, I'm just having auto clicker down on clear landmarks, that way there's no islands out in the water. So we're just continually obliterating islands while slowly accelerating up to billions of meters per second. Well, it looks like with our current setup, we can go a max of about 300 meters per second. And that looks something like this. The islands occasionally blink into existence, the raft hits something, bounces off an island, then tends to pick up speed very quickly again. If you've ever wondered what 1,000 meters per second on a raft looks like, it's this. It wedges itself literally into islands because it's so fast. When we're not in an island though, it's just up in the open ocean. We even have a very wilted llama on board who's not enjoying the ride as much as we are. This feels right. This feels like the way rafts should be. With the exception of getting stuck in the islands every 10 seconds. And this raft is capable of going a lot faster, probably actually like a million, billion, trillion times faster. It just takes time to accelerate up to speed. And we've been doing this for a long time and we're up to 1,000 meters a second. So it would take a long time to get up to 1,000,000 miles a second. But I'm okay with what we've accomplished here today. We can always do bigger and better next time.